The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Good evening and welcome to the Superspeedway Cup Series here on LSRTV. Round number 5, and we go to the bumpy high banks of 2007 Daytona. Yes, we've gone back in time with a time machine, and we're going plate racing here in history, almost. Rich White in the booth with Austin Coop, and we are ready in qualifying. Cars out for their single laps at the moment, Coop. Time's starting to come in now. This one's going to be tricky in the race.
Yeah, this is the track that was around before the repave, around 2007, 2008. I don't actually remember exactly which year it was, but this track it's famous for its bumpiness, and then they repaved it almost 10 years ago now. It's quite a spectacular thing to think about. 10 years ago it was repaved, and you can see where it was actually paved before the full repave here in some areas, which are a little bit smoother, but this surface is extremely bumpy on the bottom of the corner. You're going to see that top line really start to come in for some of these drivers, as the bottom is so bumpy and the middle line is so it's a lot more smoother. It's smoother on the middle line, so you're going to be able to see 2 lines of action probably all day today, but you probably won't see that 3 wide action hardly at all today, just because of how bumpy it is all around. Somebody on the bottom loses it just a little bit. That guy in the middle line would have to go up, and the person in the third line, well, they are out of luck if that is to happen.
They certainly are, Austin. And well, let's take a quick look at the points as they stand here after 5 rounds, or 4 rounds, I should say, of the Superspeedway Cup Series here on LSRTV. Right now, it's Derek Walker leading the points, 334. Behind him, Corey Henry, 328. Rodney Wofford in 3rd place, 318. 317 for Paul Servant. And in 5th place, Brandon Cruz Monsivice with 314. It is very close. In fact, in 300 points territory, Austin, top 8 are all within about 30. Well, they are within 30 points. So this could go any single way.
Yeah, and those drivers with those wins column will also be at the very top of that as well. Even though you're very close with those points in the standings, those drivers themselves have to figure out a way to try and get that win as well to lock themselves in. It's good to have a good point today if you can do that every weekend now. But we always know here at the Superspeedway Cup Series that it is possible that you will have at least one incident or 2 that will take you out of a race. So you cannot bank on points alone, knowing that you could be one of the lowest in the point standings and still make the championship with a win. And the 3 drivers who have gotten wins already this season is Derek Walker, Brandon Chaburko, and Jorgensen Jr. They have 1 point each, and Derek Walker will lead all of those drivers with the most points, up 41 points. So he's the driver that they're all chasing, and it's going to be a good one tonight as qualifying is about to wrap up.
It certainly is, of course, and well, this is one of those races that will really be a wild card here, Austin, of course. We had some big controversy last time out at Texas, including the controversial moment where the DHI boys took each other out on the final lap. That one will certainly go down in series history, but this is a very friendly family series here on LSRTV, Superspeedway Cup Series. You know, a lot of family members watching this broadcast, so hello to all of you, and all the friends and fans, of course, but we are heading to the grid, and we will get you your starting order. Starting on pole for tonight's race will be Rodney Wofford, the number 7 machine, who was involved in one of those incidents last week, of course. Behind him, the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Starting on row number 2, Seth de Merchant returning to the series with Rod Flagg alongside him on row number 2. Corey Henry and Chris Bassini, row number 3. Row number 4, Paul Servant and Ray Rittenhouse second. Derek Walker and Andrew Berger on row number 5.
Greg Hooks, he'll start the number 15 machine in the 11th position with Scott Warren to his outside. Starting in 12th, Frank Basilia, he's going to be that number 94 car as always, starting 13th. And Matt Quick, he'll start 14th. Dominic Duvall, he'll start 14th with Jay Altman. He's going to start in that 16th position. Dwayne Cooper starts 17th. Gary Champion will start 18th. Brandon Chaburko, he'll be 19th. And then Shane McEachin will round out your top 20.
Starting in 21st place will be Roger Stewart with Josh Hanna alongside him. Then it'll be Tommy Hall, Dana Osborne. We have Ramon Evans. We have Joel Wood, Brandon Cruz Monsivice, Garrett Atwell, Andy Kessler, and Scott Saunders in 30th.
And rounding out the next 7 positions is Josh Vickery starting that 31st position. Daniel Holloway 32nd, Kelly Dahl 33rd, Larry Kemp 34th, Joshua Patterson, he'll start in that 35th position. Dan Harrington will start 36th, and Joy Piccoletta, or I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name, Joy Piccolella will start 37th.
He certainly will, of course, and only 22 of our cars actually qualified for this one. Josh Hanna putting in what looks to be a banker lap there, a 3 minutes 57, wanting to start at the rear, but with so many people not qualifying for the same reason, that's kind of snookered him as he's now mid-pack for this one. So, yeah, that's certainly a fun one for you, of course, but this grid will be an interesting one for us. We know this track is very bumpy. As you see him on the grid there, look how cracked that is there. Track information, though, of course, Daytona International Speedway. Those big 30-degree bankings, about 15 degrees on the front stretch, of course. 2.5 miles in length. Let's not forget the fuel is limited tonight to 70%. We will be stopping multiple times. Weather, well, partly cloudy, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temperature of 102 degrees. Winds 2 miles an hour from the north. Humidity around 50%. So we've got some perfect conditions here, Austin. The cars are ready to roll. They're heading off pit road now. We're getting ready to go thundering.
You could almost call these guys the experts at the Superspeedway tracks here, and the plate tracks as we like to call them. And even at a track like the 2000 version of Daytona is a challenging one for all of these drivers. Look for drivers to really try some different strategies. And like you said, tires are actually going to be a big deal. You said that they were going to have to come down multiple times tonight, so that'll be an interesting fact or an interesting thing to see later on today as well. Those pit stops are so crucial, as we've seen in races past, especially if they've been on the green flag of the deal. We'll just have to see how it plays out as they go into turn 3, and these guys are getting ready to go give us a show.
They certainly are, Austin, and Rodney Wofford will be in command of that field as the pace car will make its turn down to pit road. Himself and Mark Jorgensen Jr. up there in that Mountain Dew number 88. And the Jack Daniels number 7 on the inside. We'll keep our eyes on those guys. We've got a mellow yellow 32 behind them. That's the car of Seth DeMerchant. A returning driver. One that's not been here all season, and one to certainly watch. Target, apparently, I'm being told. So that was a bit of a fun one. But pace car will pull off the side onto pit road. And we're green flag racing here at Daytona as the front 3 rows really get a big jump there, Austin.
Yeah, that inside line, like we always see, race in and race out. But yeah, that was kind of odd to see just the top 6 pull away from the top group, as most leagues do. The cars really get out ahead on that green flag, and they start. Most leagues start on the initial green flag and don't get to choose when they get to go until they get a restart. You're going to watch a few drivers duck down to the very bottom of the track. Those drivers wanting to go to the back and not have any issue up front, so they're giving up their positions intentionally, and we see that about every other week or so. And so the top 6 is almost the same as we saw them. And you're watching that 7 car of Rodney Wofford having the 32 of Seth DeMerchant. He's on a return and trying to get around these guys as well. And that Coca-Cola machine on the inside. And he's going to get Jorgensen just barely right there on the outside. Or right there on the inside, I should say, for second place.
Well, of course, we had the Super Bowl over the weekend. And are we seeing a Super Bowl here for the Superspeedway Cup Series? Because this is our first time this season heading back to the 07 layout here. And Austin, a lot of guys, they want to play this one safe. We've seen a lot of cars either pull to the back in pit road or here on the racetrack after the green flag, and it seems like nobody wants to be in this pack. And look at our front pack here. The outside line is, as you mentioned earlier on, going very strong here. Bottom line, way too bumpy for these guys. In fact, look at how much these cars are moving. Bottom line there, only 3 cars. Wofford, the 32 and the 12. they are all over the place.
Yeah, and Jorgensen Jr. is actually going to be able to run on the outside and cross the start-finish line first out of all the drivers, so he's going to lead that lap. And not as going to be a big deal for him if he wins or not, because he's almost locked into the chase. Basically, if he wins a second one, there's no doubt that he is absolutely locked in. Getting 2 wins basically will seal the deal. 1 win is almost a for sure fire for these guys. But like you said, that top line is starting to be a threat, and you're seeing a little bit more help on the top side. But these guys cannot actually go bumper to bumper in the corners. You can almost get away with it at the other tracks if you just hit it just right. Well, this is a track you can't do it. Absolutely, you can't do it because you'll hit a bump and you may be right in the draft and get that guy. And that's what happened to the 88 on the outside. Just hit a bump just right and lost a ton of momentum, and that outside line is not going to be able to surge forward. I expect that top line to really go forward later on in the runs as the tires start to warm up and as the track starts to rubber up as well. But that bottom line surging for now, and you're watching the Merchant try to go the outside to pass that 7 car and maybe get a little bit of help. He's going to have it cleared, possibly, or not cleared, but he's going to be side by side for first. 32 has the advantage going to 3, but will he be able to clear him? We'll just have to see. And 32's got a good half a car length on him, but he's not going to go down just yet. He might bring the 88 with him.
Certainly is, and wow, we've seen it so far. The 32 and the 88 almost clear here of the 7 as we head to the tri-oval. We saw a moment ago, of course, that there was a definite movement, Austin. We saw it when we went on the hood camera, of course, and we'll try and go back to one of those again. But let's have a look at actually the 88 cars. We'll try and go on the hood here of the 88 car, and you can see just actually we're looking back from the 32 here at the 88, and you're seeing how much he's moving. And this is even on the straightaway here, especially when we head into the corners. Just watch how much this car moves. And this is these guys. These guys know exactly what they're doing here. They are doing their best to keep these cars in one place. But this is the track they're working with. This is a very difficult racetrack. This isn't New Talladega. This isn't New Daytona. These guys are having to work these cars around here.
Yeah, you hit it right in the money, and seeing that the bumps do what those bumps really do for these cars is they really make it so the air gets disturbed as well on the outside line, and to actually get a push, you're gonna have to wait till the straightaway to get that. And just the draft in general helps that car out front. You don't actually have to get pushed in order to be faster because all that drafting behind them sucks the air off the back spoiler and allows that car to go forward. But as you were seeing on the inside, they are actually pushing that 12 and that 7. That's going to be the 12 of Corey Henry, pushing that number 7 of Rodney Wofford, your pole sitter, for tonight, pushing him to a very good distance to the lead. And those two almost cleared the 32 off the corner. And I'm watching the 12 car of Corey Henry. He looks like he really wants another spot. He looks like he wants that lead. Almost tried to go under him out of turn 4, but not enough room as the yellow line is the voice you can't go. And speaking of the 12, he washed up the track just a little bit going into the corner, so already starting to have a little bit of a bobble going into these very bumpy corners.
Certainly is, and one thing we're looking at here, of course, Jason Altman's back in 15th place, is really the last car in this group here, Austin. Right now we've got groups of 4s and 5s who've split themselves up as we've got 3 wide at the back of this lead pack a moment ago. That was getting very dicey. That's the 22 car of Chaburko causing fuss already. 20 car, in fact, he's going to go for that 3 wide again here. 28, the 22, and the 5 cars there. Ahead of them, that's the 13 and the 20. The one in Bassini just ahead of this group. As 3 wide at Daytona, old Daytona as well. This is not something we expect to see, but, well, we never exactly see Brandon Chaburko not making moves.
Yeah, that's very true, and he really wants to get up there and fight for that win. He's definitely a guy not to shy away from a move like that, and they were actually doing a very good job under him. In fact, he was giving everybody plenty of room, but we'll look at the 28. He's actually, I think, blocking him from doing that maneuver. Oh, and he's going to get turned by the 26! There he goes, and just like a few weeks ago, he's going to have minor damage. It's not going to be as bad, and he appears to be the only one, and a very unhappy number 22 machine. I'd love to be a fly in the car for that one to see the frustration on his, just on that driver.
Well, to go back to some more, going to show you a replay on board from the 7026 car now, and you'll see him just bump in the corners. And Austin, we said, you don't bump in the corners here at Old Daytona because the quarterback was toast. Brandon Chaburko just gets hooked from that small tap there. On the current Daytona track, that would not be an issue, but here, loose and round he goes. Damage for Brandon Traburco at this stage of the race on lap number 9. We are under caution.
Yeah, and not intentional by any means, but you just cannot do that. And it did appear that the 22 is the only driver to be affected, but the 51 also got a good bit of front end damage. So that that 51 machine of Jay Altman is going to have quite a bit of damage as well, so he's definitely going to be coming down pit road, trying to get that fixed as much as possible. No, this wasn't a big wreck like we've seen in past, but this was definitely something that could have been avoided if those bumps in the corner did not happen.
That is very true, and we'll see our first run down pit road this time by as we'll look to the front of the field, and everybody will come down pit road. Oh, big check up there at the front. Rodney Wofford, Seth the Merchant, Corey Henry with contact on the pit entrance here, Austin. We saw this a second ago, and oh, the Merchant checked up to check his speed, and the 12 car of Henry just runs into the back of that Coca-Cola number 32 machine. That was not what he was aiming for.
And what happened to a few of these drivers with that is that they actually did not come in and they were having the check. But look at some of these drivers taking 2 tires. Frank Basilia, Ray Rittenauer, a few guys took 2 tires. I think Jay Altman, or maybe they missed their pit stall. Jay Altman, he came out of the pit road very quick. He possibly got a quick fix, which they are allowed to do. That's definitely not the case. Actually, looking at that left front, it's still pretty darn beat up. I'm sure he's going to have to come back down to get that fixed. But some drivers got 2 tires, and one driver in particular, I'm going to have to get a number on it, missed their pit box, so they're going to have to come all the way around. And I'm hearing it's going to be the 87 of Ray Rittenauer. So he's going to have to come down and get those tires or do something if he's going to come back down again. Doesn't have to, but it's probably a wise idea.
Sending Shane McEachin to the lead now and taking no tires with the 49, the 4, and a couple of other cars as we'll go back to green in just a few laps' time. Took a bit of heat actually, Austin, on the chat for using football words in racing. Well, I don't think they believe a brick can understand American football. No response to that one from Austin.
I
don't think he got it either.
I feel like it went over my head there, Rachel. I wasn't. I don't think I got it.
You're not the only one. No, you're not the only one. But anyway, as we get back to what will soon be green flag racing, we're going to see a new lead at the front here, of course. And this is one of our first restarts here, Austin. So, oh no, we have a couple of guys here who will be coming back down pit road. I think they wanted to lead some laps under caution. But the first 4 cars that stayed out, they are coming down now, so this will be interesting. This should put Rodney Wofford back towards the front of this field. The 7 car, in fact, will be leading once again. Order is restored to the way we started this race. But what we'd seen earlier on, of course, is a lot of cars had broken up into small packs, and some cars had dropped off. A number of cars about to go a lap down already. So this first caution really has saved a lot of those cars, and perhaps we'll see a more united pack on this second run.
And I'll say, for the most part, a lot of these drivers are actually trying to swindle as much fuel in there as possible. If they want to stay at the back, they're not going to come into pit road the first time by. They're going to come down the second time by and get that car with as much fuel as possible. I know it's only lap 10, or lap 11, I should say, but that's still something these drivers think about. If they go green flag the rest of the way, they will have 1 extra lap of fuel, and that actually will make your pit stop shorter, depending on if you take 2 tires or no tires if you just come in for fuel, and it's one of those deals. So, and that just a fraction of a second or even half a second can really mean a lot in the pit stall. I mean, we know that the times in the pits are just a slight bit random, but the more you can minimize that would be the best. And we're still seeing Frank Basilia and Jay Altman up there, and Altman has quite a bit of damage in that 51 still in the left front, and I'm saying so possibly he's going to come down. Looks like the 94 is showing it. Whether he actually comes down or not, we'll just have to see. But it looks like everyone behind those 2 is about the same as they came in.
Sunny is, of course, staying out at this stage would be possibly the safest move. Being at the front of this pack, Austin, would probably have you in the least risk of this track on a restart. So they are staying out, it seems. Frank Basilia the third and Jason Altmans will stay out on track ahead of Seth Merchant and Rodney Wofford there. We'll be restarting on that second row, unlike the first start of this race. going back to green this time by, I believe, as we take a quick look at that Ford Mustang pace car. Lights are out. We will be going back to green this time by. Cars will form up too wide. And we'll get ready to see what happens. One thing we haven't seen already so far, Austin, or just actually quickly, DHI have been known for being a team that's been very, very organised on the racetrack. Always working together with that 4-car team. They haven't been near each other all race. Is this something we're going to see later on?
Oh, most definitely. I know these guys typically do work together, just like you said, almost all together. I think we'll see the 4 of those drivers, maybe not all together, but sometimes, even though you have teammates, I would say that where you qualified also really affects who you work with. And I'd say if you work with, you have to work with what you've got as well. And if you don't have your teammate there, I'd say you have to just keep going. And I think, speaking of that, and going a little bit off what you said just a little bit ago as well, these drivers I think are going to be less spread out this time by, and I think big reason is because of the 2 leaders, and I think another reason is just because of how spread out it was and how minor that wreck was. The fact that they were trying to avoid the big one, and now they're all the way to the back of the pack, and I think that's what a lot of these drivers are going to start thinking about here.
Certainly is. The cars will come through turns number 3 and 4 now for the restart. Going to get ready to go underway here on lap number 12. And we will start to see this one kick back off. Frank Basile III, Jason Altman's not pitted under this last caution. They will be our leaders for the restart as the pace car will head down pit road, field under the command of Jason Altman's, and we are green flag already.
Yeah, look at that 94. Look at that 94, got a big jump on the inside right there, and that 7-car Rodney Wofford, he's trying to give him much of a big push to that 94 of Frank Basilia, and it's just not going to really, going to be affected. But 51, though, is doing a heck of a job keeping the outside line up to par with those guys on the bottom line. But, with as much damage as that 51 car has, I think the only reason he's really up there still is because that 32 of Seth the Merchant, who's always been one of the biggest pushers in this series, and glad to have him back here. And great racer, made a really hard charge for the championship bid last season. And he had to, took a small hiatus and took a small break, and you get a win, you're in, basically. So I'm sure that's what he's hoping for, and he's got to get a lot of points. So he's got to run a lot of races and keep it going. But just like you said a little bit ago, Rachel, these cars are everywhere, and I think right now I'm seeing these cars go up and down the track more than usual.
They certainly have. If we look back in the pack, the field already very fragmented like it was last run here, Austin. In fact, behind the top 20 almost, the entire field is broken down. In fact, starting to in the top 10 as well, as we actually are starting to see a breakaway. Chris Bassini back in the 12th spot. Really the last car in his front group as they are staying too wide behind them. It's dropping back single file, so everyone playing this conservation game here tonight. And it seems to be that safety and just being there at the end tonight, Austin, is the buzzword we're looking for.
Yeah, 15 laps into this 100-lap race. We're almost to the 1/5 mark. But these drivers, you typically see these guys go all out just about every lap, which is uncharacteristic of a normal plate track race if you're in any other series. But this is what they do. They do it week in and week out. I think this is the race where they conserve probably the most. Just like you said, there's only about a 10-car group up there towards the front. Could put Chris Bassini as that 11 car, and we're getting a couple more behind him, so perhaps they're going to try and start to formulate and group together. But these guys up front, they want to get to the front, and the guys behind them, they're just going to try and ride. And we do have those groups in every single race, but I think, like you said, they're just being a little bit more cautious than typical, and I don't think that's a bad thing for somebody who wants a good point stay out of this. But the guys up the front, they want to be in the championship, they want to win a race, and that 94 of Frank Basilia, I think the best way for him to get in, of course, is to win a race.
Well, we have seen Rodney Wofford in that number 7 Jack Daniels machine get past the 51 of Jason Altman's there. Something he needed to do. Mark Jorgensen Jr. on the low side, though. He's pushing the car of Frank Basilia III, who's managed to hold himself out front since that restart. Car's looking very shaky here on this tri-oval here. Very bumpy tri-oval on the 07 Daytona circuit. So it's interesting seeing what these Gen 6 cars actually are like running on this older track, of course, Austin. This model of car never ran here.
Yeah, and these cars are a little bit more aerodynamic sensitive as well. I think we've mentioned that in the past, and the whole car itself is, I think, less a little bit more or less stable depending on how you look at it. But I think the car itself is more of a durable being throughout the pack, and we only saw the car of tomorrow on this track for just a short period of time, so it's hard to say how these cars really work on it. I mean, we only see it about once or twice a year.
Sorry, Austin, I have to just quickly stop you there. There's a big shift at the front as moves by Mark Jorgensen Jr. as he goes up and comes back down again in what would be a classic Chaburko move. Has managed to get Frank Maselli III onto the high side and out of the way here, opening that bottom line to himself, Wofford, the 10 of Flag, and the 20 car here of Derek Walker. This is changing our race.
Yeah, and you saw how fast that 94 had to give that up too, and such a great move. Look at him try and block the whole track, and now he's gonna be 3 wide for the lead. Did not work. 94 on the top side. This could get ugly quickly. We know how bad this track goes. That 94 is on the top side, and oh, look at the block by the 88 back up the track. He's so good at this, but I think it's like it can only go so far. My God, he almost took the 10 car out with him, and that was Rod Flag, and that's not a guy you really want to do that to.
Certainly not, as it's now 2 wide. Wofford and Jorgensen Jr. on the front row, Silly the third, and Flag on the second row here. This one has not cooled down. Lap 19 of 100 in tonight's event. And these guys are racing like we're here at Talladega. The pack is formed up nicely at the front, as it was Chris Bassini back in 13th leading the back tail of that group. But behind them is closed up again here, Austin. We've got about our top 15 cars in this pack, and well, everyone behind them knows something as big is coming. They are dropping way back very quickly.
I'll talk about one driver that's doing the opposite of what you're saying. Is that 41 of Joey Piccolella, and he's in that number 41 Monster Ford, I should say. And he's right all the way up there at 8th. He started 37, so dead last. So just give a good shout out to that driver. It's not easy to do it at a lot of tracks, but these ones are easier. But out of all these tracks, this one's going to be the hardest one to do it. As you're seeing 3 wide with Seth the Merchant on the outside, and they're starting to make sure that they get 2 wide before the corner, because they know how difficult it can be getting up right close to that wall. And you know, Rachel, as these runs go on, something we're going to see is the cars actually are going to start getting tight, and you won't be able to run 3 wide. It won't be possible. These cars will the right sides will just be not junk, but they will definitely be so warm and hot that they'll just slide right up the track. And I think that's what the 32 is looking for right now, is trying to get some extra space and not destroy those right side tires as much, maybe to preserve and run a longer distance here.
Frank was the third, making a big move here at the front of your pack there as he cuts the middle between Wofford and Jorgensen Jr. That 94 car dropping to the low side in front of Wofford. And we have a new leader here at Daytona as the 88 cannot hold that speed on the high side. He will drop back toward a second place in a moment. Could be third, depending on how this top line can form up. And this is something perhaps we see more than usual, actually, Austin. This top line in this front pack has stayed more consistently up there. People aren't all diving for the bottom line. It's almost as though this top line is actually just as fast as the lower side, or possibly less bumpy.
Yeah, you got to be on that middle line, and that's where that 94 was when he executed that pass. He went up, he went down, just like Jorgensen did in a way. And for someone to do that kind of move, they ultimately, in my opinion, deserve to get that position. But that 94, he's on those old tires and still sticking with those guys. I did not think it was possible, but he is able to keep it up there. Look at him go block the 88. Cut his run down and have to go back down to the bottom to make sure the 7 doesn't get in. He effectively does hold his position. Wow, this would be a great photo finish, now wouldn't it? The 88 does get that spot at the line, but trying to cut him down every time he can, but that 88 looks real fast.
It certainly does. The 88 car always looking fast. That nationwide Chevrolet is doing what he has to do on the high side this time. Behind him, the Puma Chevrolet SS of Derek Walker. He's moved his way forwards, of course, qualified in 9th place. He is up there running now, and we're seeing some big movers. And Joey Piccolella, he moved up from 37th. He's currently running in 8th place at the moment, Austin. It's definitely big movers in this field. Dominic Dipole up from 15th. He's in 7th place as well. 35th to 11th is Joshua Patterson. So This field is moving as we're looking like we go 3 wide here for the race leader. Sideways goes Derek Walker, and he collects that wobbling car. 32 shoots the middle and pushes Jorgensen Jr. 3 wide into turn 1, and they sort it out just about. This race has been so close to wrecking so many times, I have no idea what's happening, Austin.
I don't know how the 20 was able to survive that and how it didn't look that much, but at a surface like this, his car was out of control, yet you did brush the wall just a little bit, but that 20 car, give that driver some big props. It's Derek Walker, and he's the points leader in the wins. He has a win already, and he's the points of those guys as well leader. And for him it wouldn't be big, but that'd have been big for a lot of drivers behind him. So that 20 car, give props to him, and I'm sure everyone else is very glad he kept a hold of that car.
Certainly it did, and we'll have to keep an eye on this one, of course, as these guys are really pushing this one very, very hard. Incredible racing we're seeing at the moment, and these guys are not letting off. We thought they might a bit with how difficult this track is, Austin. We're not seeing it at all. The 51 looking to the middle there, actually a few 4 lanes back now from the lead. As on the outside, Jorgensen Jr. is holding his own up there. That 32 car of Seth the Merchant has been fast so far today. We have to put him in contention.
Yeah, if Seth the Merchant could get up there to the back bumper of the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr., he could definitely get himself a push, but the only time he's really been able, when he's been there, is whenever they're in the corner. I think it's just a little off sequence. Look at the 94 run a little higher, trying to take a line away from the 88. I wouldn't say that completely taking it away, otherwise I think they would wreck, but definitely moving up the track just a little bit to hinder his entrance. I wouldn't say playing games, just trying to get every bit that you can. There's a lot of taking right now, and definitely not a lot of giving, and when you do that much, I think a lot of these guys are holding on to threads, and they can only hold on to them for so long. And look at that 32, he's going on the very top side. Look at the 94, wash up the track just a little bit right there in the front of the 88. Have to come back down and clears him, but that 88's coming with a big push from 32.
Certainly is, as keeping these cars moving forwards here, as we have a very orderly line running all the way back at the moment, back to about 16th place here, Austin. And this is probably the most organised we've seen this field all season long. We're not seeing any side drafting, so these two lines really aren't moving as much as we normally see. That's really our big thing here on the Superspeedway, is with great course places like New Daytona, Talladega. These guys will see them right on the door of the car in the other lane. We're not seeing that here, so these two lanes very evenly matched. As you mentioned, of course, it's smoother on the middle, so they can keep that momentum better than the low side. We're seeing something that's perhaps more orderly and more well behaved than normal. Is because these guys are having to drive so hard? Is that what we're seeing? So perhaps patience?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of patience as well. I think it's a good mixture of patience versus running about as hard as you can. And look at that 94. I thought he was going to be losing that position, but I think he's basically figured out where he needs to block and to run high as good as he can do. He ran up to the high side, blocked the 88. And then had the 88 push him. The 77 was on the bottom, almost equal, but then once they got back to turn 1, he was able to win that battle again. So this 94 with that pit strategy, it's really working out for him. He's able to keep that lead, but he's really going up the track. I talked about how old tires may not last that long, and the 94 looks like he may not be able to hold the bottom, effectively actually losing a lot of speed in the corners. Old tires, you're going to lose some speed, and those new tires, I'm sure he would love to have some on there right now.
I think Frank Bocchiglia is looking for a caution sometime soon here to get himself down pit road, get himself some fresh Goodyear Eagles on that car. Because right now he's in a net gain of quite a lot of positions for him, so he wants to stay up here somewhere, but Jorgensen Jr. has answers for that, as does Seth DeMerchant, who will look around the outside. DeMerchant on the high side above the 20 of Derek Walker, didn't get as much of a run as he needed, and Jorgensen Jr. can't get clear of that 94. But Chile at the third, just pulling on that low side here, Austin. He's managing to stay up here. He's really not losing this car. You mentioned he's running higher in the corners, but he seems to be coping okay. Won't we see him maybe move to that top side if he gets an opportunity?
I think the 94 is pretty content where he's at right now, actually, in the bottom, because he's still in second. I thought he was going to lose a lot of spots there, but this is such an odd thing for these drivers to see a high or a very powerful top side that really comes in bursts. It doesn't come for a full strength for a few laps. It's more like a corner and done. You got to get that pass executed and do it pretty quickly. And that 94 has really been able to stop that. And I think I wouldn't say he's going to the top or the bottom more or less. He's really kind of just blocking the whole track as much as he needs to. So that 94 doing everything he can to just stay out front, blocking the top, blocking the bottom. It's going to be interesting to see how long he can do that without one of these lines actually catching him in the act.
Certainly hasn't. We've lost a couple of drivers so far. Retirements from tonight's race as it stands. Josh Vickery, Dana Osborne and Larry Camp. Although Dana Osborne is out on track running, but 15 laps down with heavy damage on that Wrangler number 8 Chevy SS. Larry Camp is off the track in the garages, as is Josh Vickery. In fact, Vickery's team just
look at the 15
on the trailer. It's a 15 car. Problems.
Yeah, he's right there in the bottom of the track and he's really slow. And that's quite a save from Greg Hooks. There was a 3 wide in the corner, and that 15 car was able to basically maneuver that car. A little bit of front end damage, and we're going to get you a replay up on the screen here this time by. You're going to see that 41 car just barely clip, or not barely, he well did hit the outside or retaining wall and ran right into the 15, and the 15 really had to lock her down and point that car to the inside of the track and was able to effectively keep that car from harm.
Big evasion by the 15, probably one of the best misses we've seen in recent times. The field will actually head up now to lap Dana Osborne, who's going to the high side. Going to get that car out of the way for this field as things could get tight here. 3 wide as the pack, possibly denser than we've seen in many races before, passes by Dana Osborne on the high side. Damage number 8 will now be scored 16 laps down, and they're already 15, so many laps down for Dana Osborne, not likely to get those positions back as Jorgensen Jr. getting pushed by Seth Demerged on the high side, pushing into corners. They're very risky strategy, Austin.
Yeah, I think that 32 is pretty confident in what he's doing, and I'd hope he is, because if he's not, that little bit of doubt could send the 88 around like we saw Traburco earlier in the race. You just got to be very particular about it. I'm not going to say he's doing it wrong, because he's an expert at what he's doing. But it's very, very interesting to see that these guys, even the veterans, even the experts at these tracks, are pushing in the corners, and we see them do it, and we just have to kind of not cringe, but just hope that they don't get spun out, and that they can really make that push effective, because that could really be quite the turnaround in a literal sense, of course, but for 2 drivers, if that happens.
It certainly is. I've just been catching actually an in-race report from Brandon Muncevice, who actually posted from his cell phone video footage of him in the car currently at speed on the racetrack, talking about how the car's handling, and he's enjoying this race. But he said the car is absolutely a handful to drive, so he's able to keep an eye on that. But I'm sure the stewards, Austin, might have to take umbrage with taking Brad Keselowski's cell phone tactics to a whole new level.
I was thinking the same thing, actually. They took away the cell phones for that, but sim racing and with Superspeedway action, you can kind of get away with that as long as it's his race to lose. I mean, if he wants to multitask during the middle of the race, I don't think he's really having to worry about those guys in front of him. But look at that 54. He's not up there in that top group. He's back in the pack and really just kind of bidding his time at the moment. So 34th place is where we'll find him in a very long line of cars. In fact, he's at the very bottom of the track here right now. And you know, with this big line of cars, they really have to you really have to wonder how long they can be just a long line, because they're 10 seconds or 9 seconds from the start of this line to the leaders. I'm sure they're hoping that they're going to wreck and hurt themselves in the before this is all over. But when pit stops happen, they know that they may be able to organize a little better and start going.
Certainly is. Remember, folks, LSRTV reminds you, do not text and drive. Do not text and drive. Frank Chillier the third up front at the moment, with behind him Mark Jorgensen Jr., Rodney Wofford, Seth Merchant, Rob Flagg, Derek Walker, Dominic Dyball, Corey Henry, Scott Warren, and Joshua Patterson. Your top 10 as things stand. And the field has actually split up more than we've seen in a long time for the first time tonight, as the majority of our top 10 here, Aston, go single file.
Yeah, and that's pretty surprising that 994 was able to do that. Made the strategy call, and look at this long snake of a line. And you're watching the 32 try and peek out right now, but it's amazing how it really started to line out. But that 32 car, I think he's going to be the pioneer to start this outside line, but I don't think anyone's going to go with him. He's out there and all hung out to dry. It's not going to work out for him. He's going to drop like a sailor's anchor here if he doesn't have somebody help him, or if he doesn't have a line to get onto, or a hole to get into the middle. But it doesn't really matter. I think that's what these guys were doing. They were waiting for pit stops. Rodney Wofford's going to lead that charge down there, and I think the 20 was speeding. Derek Walker went in very hot.
We'll have to see whether he heads back down again. We'll keep our eyes on Derek Walker, but green flag pit stops for, I think, the first time this season here in LSRTV in the Superspeedway Cup Series. That is a first one for us. We'll have a quick look back at Derek Walker's pit entry here as he crossed the line at 69 miles an hour. Let's not forget, folks, our speeds today for pit road is 60 miles an hour on pit road, 80 miles an hour behind the pace car. But what we saw, of course, from Derek Walker was he slowed it right down to about 60 on the racetrack. Yeah, so he makes that one work. He just managed it. As Basilia, we'll have a quick look at right now. Also heading down to pit road with the next pack of cars, Austin.
Yeah, a little bit of 3 wide coming down pit road, but we're seeing just about everyone else come down pit road. Looks like maybe Rod Flagg and another small group there staying out. Dominic DeBall, Andrew Berger, and Garrett Atwell, they're up there too, but they'll all have to come down in the same manner. They're still out there, still trying everything that they can do to get to stay out there and get position, I guess. But those 4 guys, they're gonna have to come down soon. That group, that's all 4 of them are just there, and they're gonna come down together here this time by, and they're gonna probably give up their lead, but they're together, and I think that's the biggest thing here.
Certainly is, of course. Someone mentioned to us rather actually astutely that a speeding penalty on pit entrance would not be a black flag. It would be a hold in your pit box during the stop. But as Derek Walker's left the pit road at the same time here as Rodney Wofford, and is with his teammate who he entered with, I think we can safely assume he did not get any sort of penalty for that stop. So a narrow escape for Wofford in the 20, but he is hooked up with his teammate, and behind him, we mentioned it earlier on, the DHI cars would turn up, and look at this, behind them, the 1, the 12, and the 2 car joining in here. Although the 2 car I don't believe is actually, yes it is, 5 DHI cars now in a conga line. This could really change this race if they hook up and start moving, Austin.
Oh, it does not surprise me, and I think this answers your question from earlier, whether these drivers were going to get together and mix it up, and there's your answer right there. And yes, they are. And I don't know if that was planned, but it definitely worked out to their benefit. These drivers definitely going to do as much as they can. Of course, I'm sure they're working together in the team chat as well, and I'm sure they're going to go straight to the front after this cycle of pit stops. It's always a thing I love to see in these races, is whenever it comes down to these green flag pit stops, who has the better pit stop, and quite frankly, who's able to work together or figure out a plan after it's all over. And you're going to see them cross the line, technically 7th, but I think that next time by they'll definitely get the lead. So put that number 7 as your kind of your honorary leader at the moment.
We have our new leader set, and that is not Paul Servant, I believe. We'll have a look through the field, as Wofford is actually scored as our race leader, and this puts the DHI cars now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this one here, Austin. That has shaken his game up now, and if we get a caution, these guys have the first few rows. This is definitely team strategy territory.
Well, I don't even know if a caution's really going to make a big deal. It's a big deal now. They're going to be able to work together, and almost, I think they're 2 seconds ahead of anybody else, or 1.5. The next guy, Rod Flagg, is 1.3 seconds, and then you have to go another 2 seconds to the next guy, which is the 13, and Dominic DeBall. These guys had it worked out. Of course, they're still fighting among themselves, but I mean, I don't think they would have it any other way. All teammates figuring out which one they want to take to the championship.
And look at this, they're swapping positions here as Rodney Wofford drops back in the line to the rear, putting the 20 at the sharp end here. we could be seeing these guys cycling that lead to give lead laps to all the teammates here, as they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this motor race.
Oh, wow.
This is certainly team strategy on a prime level here, as behind them by a good gap is Rod Flagg, who's been dropped. He's on his own right now, and behind him, 3 cars, it is Dominic Dyball, Seth Merchant, and Frank Butchelia III. Those 3 moving along as well, but will they be able to pick up Flagg? Will they just leave Flagg on his own? Are we going to see a lot of drivers start to get dropped to the back here, as we just look back to where Mark Jorgensen Jr. is running here with Jason Altmans, Dan Harrington, Shane McEachin. This group is a lot more organised. They're going to have a few more cars here, Austin. This will give them a big speed advantage. We could see them catching that lead group.
Yeah, it's a bigger group. Then they need to really formulate that big group, and there's about 6-7 cars, but they're not teammates. Whether they want to work together or not, they really have to figure it out soon, and it looks like they're more racy than anything else. The 28's trying to go under the 51 right now, or something like that, but then there's also another outside line. These guys, what they should do is they should get in a single file and just push as much as they possibly can without, wrecking each other in the corners. But they're going in side by side and not really working together. So if they can get together and form a group, they will be able to catch them. But teammates, this could be a hard team to beat at this rate, because they're not gaining any time, if anything, or they are losing about a second per couple laps here. So about half a second per lap is what they're losing, and that's big.
Certainly is, and wow, this race has definitely become an interesting one. Lap number 45 here, nearly approaching the LSRTV halfway break, and we'll get that information to you as we pass that 50 lap mark tonight. There's going to be a fantastic end of this race we see coming up, of course, Austin. Nearly 50 laps in, nearly halfway here. We've had 1 caution on lap number 7. This has been a fairly good race.
Yeah, and look at the second pack. They are side by side right now in that 51 with just a little bit of damage on that left front. Still trying to make that charge working. And, I'm surprised that these guys just aren't working together. They're not gaining any time. And to go and look at their lap times, they're running a 55.9. And look at the leader of Chris Bassini now. And Rachel, you darn called it. They're running half a tenth or half a second faster, including all the little team shenanigans that they're doing right now with getting everyone a lap led. I think that's exactly what they're doing. I coughed it up to maybe like a little bit of joke, but you aren't joking. That's exactly what they're doing, and any points they can get before the night's over truly makes it special for these guys, and it gets them just a little bit more comfort going to the championship. Truly a team effort for these guys as this one goes on. And got to imagine that Corey Henry's going to be next, and then Josh Hanner, he'll be the last driver to get laps led by these guys. But truly a team effort, and I think if this race keeps going, green flag, they'll be sitting pretty before this one's over.
That is certainly something we will see, of course, and we are heading up now. This race has been definitely a fantastic one so far. Green flag pit stop was the first time this season, and that has been a huge change for this race. Daniel Osborne's actually been picked up by this lead group here, of course, in a moment, Austin. So that's an extra car here in this group. That car is all fixed, so nearly a bit of an issue there with the 7 and the 20 in this lead pack. But they've got 6 cars here now. This definitely is an advantage speed-wise. This will put them in the same territory as Jorgensen Jr.'s group, of course. They have got a couple more cars, but they're a lot more broken up.
Yeah, I think it's just the same old story with just working together, and that 8 car is going to make it a little bit easier for these guys. Daniel Osborne doesn't want to lose any more laps. So 17 laps down, and that driver can get on the tail end of this 5-car team and not be another teammate, but definitely doesn't hurt these guys. You would think that being behind the spoiler of these guys and not pushing them, but just making it easier for that last driver to get another push. 6 is better than 5, especially at these Superspeedway races. So even though he's lapped down, giving a little bit of giving a big push for those guys. But look at the guys that are trying to go for 6th or 7th place, I should say. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's going to be the number 94 going for 7th and trying to lead these guys up to the pack, and they're 7 seconds behind, and they are not gaining them quick. And as we've said before, and we're going to say it again, They've got to figure something out to work together. Otherwise, they're not going to win. But they're getting very close there in the corners. Look at that 4-car pushing the number 32, almost turning him right there in the corner. It's getting a little dicey for these guys, and they're not helping their cause.
Certainly are not, but look at what we have. Of course, we talked about teammates in that first group. We have it in the second group also. We have the 94 of Basilio, we have Berger, we have Jorgensen Jr., and we have others. That is Chicken Wings Motorsports making up the majority of this second pack here. So right now it's all nearly boxing in the 32 car of Seth the Merchant there. That was nearly a problem for those guys, but that was, of course, you're looking at basically a team running in that group and a team running in the top 5. This race is really filtered in terms of team running order. This is one of those tracks that's really led to that. But, well, folks, as we hit tonight's halfway point, as we pass the halfway point in tonight's race, let's take a look at the iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game, with professionally organised racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. So far in the race, we've had one caution on lap number 7, and we've seen green flag pit stops about 15 laps ago. Top 10 running order as it stands is Josh Hanna, Derek Walker, Corey Henry, Chris Bersini, Rodney Wofford, Seth the Merchant, Frank Bacillia III, Garrett Atwell, Andrew Berger, and that is your top 10. Field has been shaken up, and we're going to go 4 retirements so far. Larry Camp, Josh Vickery, Andy Kessler, and Darren Osborne.
Yeah, in the 11th place, Rod Flag, he's going to sit there in that second group. Dominic Naval, he's in 12th place. Shane McEachin is going to sit in that 13th spot, up 7 positions. Jay Altman is going to be in 14th place. Scott Warren sits 15th with Darren Harrington shortly behind him, 16th. Joel Wood, 17th. Ramona Evans, he's going to be 18th. Brandon Suburko had that incident earlier, started 19th, so that's where he lands right now without a quick repair. We don't actually know that, but I'm sure he took a quick repair after that massive rear end damage. And then Dwayne Cooper, he's going to sit in the 20th position.
Joey Picadella, 21st at the moment with Matt Quick, Gary Champion, Kelly Dahl. Joshua Patterson is in 25th place with Paul Servant, Tommy Hall, Ray Britton out a second, Daniel Holloway, and Brandon Cruz Monsivice sitting back in 30th, hopefully off his cell phone.
Yeah, and then rounding out the last car on the lead lap is Roger Stewart. Scott Saunders is the first car lap down, with Greg Hooks being the other car looking for that lucky dawn position. Andy Kessler down 2 laps, presumably out of the race. Dana Osborne 17 laps down with that top group. Josh Vickery out, and Larry Camp out, 36th and 37th respectively, ending out the 37 car field.
It certainly is. And, well, this has been your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com. For your ability to sign up today, you can use the LSRTV promo code by entering PR-2016 LSRTV. That is still current. When you register for a new iRacing membership, and you get the late model free of charge, along with these 13 cars and 14 tracks included with a first-time subscription. Don't forget you can use that promo code PR-2016 LSRTV for signing up with a new account. Well, Austin, back to the on-track action live here at Daytona, and things are pretty much as we expected. No change really. Top 5 DHI, behind them running in the bottom end of your top 10, and a pack that's rapidly gaining cars here. Chicken Wing Motorsports leading the way in that group and really helping to glue the second pack, and the gap is coming down to your leaders.
Yeah, you just said it. Not only are the cars starting to get larger, but the gap is starting to thin down. But they're trying to I think they're trying to thread out certain drivers and work themselves up to the front of the pack, then go. And I think the number 4 is not a part of that equation. Garrett Atwell seems to get to the front and then move back. Look at the 13. He's going to lose it right there in the apron. He somehow saves it. And wow, that number 13 driver, that's going to be Dominic Duvall. Going to lose a lot of positions there. And that was some spectacular driving getting back up there. So we're just going to have to, that driver's just going to have to figure a way to get back up. But had a good position right there following these top drivers. But I think those top 3 in that second group, 6th, 7th, 8th, Jorgensen, Berger, and Merchant, those 3 drivers are really good at these tracks, and they're going to keep going.
It certainly is. Well, we're going to step aside for a couple of moments, folks. We're going to take a short break. Go get yourself a drink. Go get yourself a toilet break. We'll be joining you in just a few moments. Welcome back to LSRTV and the Superspeedway Cup Series on currently lap number 59. Don't forget, the Superspeedway Cup Series coverage is brought to you by Joel Real Timing. Joel Real Timing is the official timing software of LSRTV. Get it today at joel-real-timing.com. joel-real-timing.com, where you can get that for free. So join us with that, of course, Joel Real Timing, and of course many options available for you, giving you all the options you need for your sim racing necessities. Right now, our front house dinner is Chris Bassini with Derek Walker, Josh Hanna, Rodney Wofford and Corey Henry leading that top group as they're getting very shaky, actually running out of turn number 4. Behind them, Mark Jorgensen Jr. and Frank Petrilli at third, leading that second group with Andrew Berger in the 24. Those teammates hooked up and joined by Seth the Merchant.
Yeah, and Berger actually just took the point from that group, and they are starting to really gain some time on these guys up front. I don't know whether it's the way they are running through the corners or whether they actually just have better set up driving lines, but I'm seeing that the driver in second will actually go from the very top of the track to the very bottom of the track in turns 3 after a couple laps up front, and they'll basically get so much momentum that they'll be able to push right outside the corner. I think that's where they're getting all their speed. Plus, they're a lot more hooked up than the guys in front. They're about a tenth and a half away from each other, except for Derek Walker and Passini, of course. And they got some other drivers mixed up in there as well, including some lap cars, which aren't making it easy. But they are getting effectively about a second, or not a second, a tenth and a half each lap. I don't think they'll catch him by the next green flag pit stops, which will be coming here in fairly soon. but it's going to be a little too late, I think, for these guys behind them.
It's certainly looking that way. 6 seconds separating that first and second group on the racetrack. That is certainly going to make things a little more challenging. With what is 38 laps remaining, unless we get a caution at some point, this is going to be a shut and done case and a lockout for DHI. Of course, at the moment, it is Derek Walker, Chris Bassini, Josh Hanna. They are leading that first group. They've done with their position swapping we saw them doing just before. And with the way things are going, we will be expecting a second green flag pit stop soon. I mean, Austin, this could definitely be a situation where we might see that caution fly.
Yeah, with the communication they had beforehand, it was pretty organized coming down pit road, but you do have to wonder with that second group. The first group we know is going to be able to come down pit road. They're going to come down together. Being a team and having the communication that they do, that's not going to be a surprise. And if they have issues, that's going to be pretty big and an interesting team meeting after the race is over. But that second group, not all of them are teammates, and not all of them are on the same wavelength in terms of how they communicate. Of course, there's the public chat, but that's been occupied by Brandon Chaburko most of the night. So you're going to have to wonder for these guys, they're catching the group really quick. I think the pit stops are obviously going to come a little bit before then, as I've said. But coming down pit road, that group of 5, they've been really, really fast, but not all of them are teammates. The 88, 24, 52, 94, and the 4 of Garrett Atwell trying some different things, seeing what they can do, knowing that the looming pit stops are going to occur.
Speaking of pit stops, here comes the front group. And Dark Horse International will pit as one. Mistake for the 20 car. Derek Walker with a huge slide. We'll slow out a replay for you, but Derek Walker crossed that timing line, Austin, and he slides under the grass and somehow holds onto it as it rejoins pit road. That has got to be our save of the race.
I don't know if I'd call it a save, because he's going to be penalized for that for sure. If it wasn't for the entrance, it was definitely for going off from the grass. He was 20 miles an hour over, and at least a foot from being, I think he had the left tire was the only part of the car that was on the pavement. Once shy, twice bitten, I think would be the case for that number 20 driver, and I think his teammates are already out the door, so say goodbye to the chances of winning. Derek Walker already has a win on the season, though, but that's going to take a big hit to those guys up front that were our teammates, coming in and helping each other. And their leader looks like the number 20. He's going to be out of this group.
Certainly is, and that's definitely a big hit for Derek Walker. Oh, he gets sideways coming off pit road there, nearly losing that car again, trying to catch up, but nearly a big mistake there for Derek Walker. Not what he wanted to have happen, as we will see these guys getting back up to speed here, Austin.
Yeah, and as the speed, they're not going to get together quicker. They're still pretty spread out, and you're seeing that second group come out of the pits. That's number 4, Garrett Atwell. Just came down pit road with a group of guys, and you better believe those guys are going to try and get it as grouped up together as much as possible. Rod Flag, he's leading the group now with Scott Warren, Berger, DeMerchant, Jorgensen, and Ball. Looks like the number 4, Atwell, actually just kind of ditched those guys and decided he was going to really figure out his own deal. As those guys up front, they did come down pit road, and they're on pit road right now.
Listen, yeah, that's our second pack heading down towards that. They've completed their stops. They're rejoining the race, of course. Rod Flag and Scott Warren in pit road at the moment. His Flag will leave a little bit ahead of some of the other cars around him. That's not going to really help him there, of course. There's Matt Quick also on pit road. Some of these guys, that's going to really hurt them, of course, Austin. Coming out on your own, not what you want to have happy here. You want a partner. You want a dance partner for pit road. Drafting is the name of the game here at Daytona. When these guys aren't doing that, they really are putting themselves in a bad spot.
Yeah, Warren was with that group of Berger, 32 of DeMerchant, and the 88 of Jorgensen Jr. And yeah, like you said, he's out there all by himself, 4th and falling, basically. Got a few guys in front of him now, and all that's going to do is just really hurt him. And I believe that the number 88 has found a new group of guys to really work with. The Warrior that he was working with earlier, but look at that guy behind him. It's going to be the 49 of Scott Saunders, 1 lap down. I bet you he's going to want to try and work with these guys and get that lap back, or try and be in as good a position as possible to do it. But I think that wraps up the final pit stops of the night, unless we get a caution, which I expect all these drivers to come in here. But Rachel, I just want to comment on the fact that it being the 2007 version of Daytona, I think 2 weeks ago we had like almost 8 cautions, and at a track like this, I think we were expecting to have a lack of control from these cars, but that's quite the opposite of what's actually happened tonight.
Yeah, they certainly would be, of course, as well, this is one of those things we really didn't expect, but I guess at the same time we could also predict, perhaps, Austin, because with this track being so much more deadly, so much bumpier, so much more difficult, we knew these guys would be a little bit cautious. We're seeing them spread out wider between the lanes. We're not seeing as much side drafting. They're leaving gaps, they're not pushing in the corners, so these guys are respecting that this track is harder, I think, and that's made this race a lot safer. If anything, the smooth, easy to drive tracks have been letting these guys really do things they might not normally do, take risks, whereas we're not seeing that in this race because people are going to drive the track and give it more room. So if anything, we should have actually expected this race would be cleaner due to that fact that they have to control the car so much more.
Yeah, and speaking of taking a risk, the 3, the 29, and the 87, they're just coming out of pit road right now. They're going to get passed by a few drivers, giving up the lead. It looks like Andrew Berger, he'll take control of that in the Dairy Champion machine. They're going to take it all away from them, and drivers and company, this is really going to start shaking up the entire leaderboard here. And you know, with the way pit stops are going, it just really bunches it up. And as we saw that second group come in later on, I don't know, or I want to get your opinion on whether you think that second pack will be as quick to charge up this time.
That can certainly happen, of course. This second field is a bit smaller this time by. I'll definitely want to keep your eyes on, of course. As what we are seeing, though, is the first group has been broken up. DHI is only 3 cars now at the front. Rodney Wofford, Corey Henry, Chris Bassini, as they have lost the 2 of Josh Hanna. He has scored a lap down, having been involved in a speeding incident. And, of course, they lost because of his slip off pit road and his timing penalty. Derek Walker is back in 16th place, but he is with the pack now, so he will be able to make his way forwards here. But that gap is starting to come down. Jorgensen Jr. only 3 seconds back from your lead trio, and they have a pack of 5-6 cars here. And that, Austin, that's more speed and momentum for these guys. They are likely to catch them.
Technically, it's a 3v3 battle, but with the lap cars that they have with them, it really is helping them with 6 cars, helping them out. Of course, they are starting to fall back just a little bit, but that 2 Josh Hanner from the DHI guys, he's actually helping these guys in front of him in a way, just staying behind them, not really pushing them, but making so that they have a little bit of draft on the back. They lose some time that time by, so perhaps he'll realize later that there won't be as much of he won't have to push these guys, or he can push them later on in the run and not have to risk these guys getting up to his teammates. So I bet you the 2 cars thinking a little bit about that too.
And it's certainly something we could be expecting in this one, of course. And gamesmanship, always the way on the Superspeedways, as we are 28 laps now to the end of this motor race. And this has been a quick one, Austin, tonight. Of course, we normally expect a couple of cautions, but with only one early on lap number 7, we've gone green flag ever since, and probably one of the longest runs we've had all season.
Yeah, if they can make it just a few more laps, I'd say that's 100% sure. This is one of the longest runs that we've had all season long, and some of these guys are really happy about that, especially the guys up front, Corey Henry, Piscini, and Wofford, 1, 2, 3, that's how they sit, and teammates as well. You got to believe that they really, they're excited about that. They know that they have a really good shot of winning if they can really just stick together, keep pushing, and then probably in the last 1 or 2 laps they'll probably race between themselves as a 3, or maybe they'll decide upon them which driver is going to actually make it. All 3 of them, or none of them I should say, actually will actually have a win. It's Walker of their team that actually has a win, so if anyone's to really try and get it, all 3 of them are going to go for it. So hopefully they don't wreck themselves in the process being teammates and everything.
Of course, that is a major consideration for these guys. They have to make sure they are in a safe position for this one, so Certainly things going to be playing out over the next 26 laps here at Daytona International Speedway. We'll run through your top 10 for the moment. In fact, no, we'll go through your top 20. Corey Henry currently leading the way, but Chris Bassini is actually passing him. So at the moment, it's going to be Chris Bassini, Rodney Wofford, and Corey Henry back in third place. Garrett Atwell in fourth, Mark Jorgensen Jr. in fifth, Rod Flagg in sixth, Scott Warren, Frank Bacilli the third, and Dominic Dyball in ninth place. Joel Wood rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, Brandon Traburka's making quite the rebound from earlier. He's in 11th. Seth the Merchant 12th. Lost that big pack he was in from pit stops. Jay Altman, also another driver, making his way up the field, 13th. Derek Walker, 14th, and he's another driver that kind of had a little bit of a slip up in pit road. Dwayne Cooper, 15th. Matt Quick, he's in 16th. Kelly Dahl, up a lot. Haven't hardly talked about him all day. He's in 17th. Dan Harrington, 18th. Gary Champion, 19th. And Joey Piccolella is going to be in 20th.
Show top 20 recap here on LSRTV as we are now heading towards 24 to go here at Daytona. We should have made our final pit stops, Austin, so this is a run to the flag unless we get a caution.
And everybody knows that too, and the fact that there's not going to be any more breaks or any more strategy calls except for if there's a caution, which that always looms in the eyes of these drivers, and the top three don't want to see that. Even that second group kind of doesn't want to see that, because that means that there's a really big chance of this getting really shaken up. I'm sure for Jorgensen Jr., though, he'd really love to see a caution, because he doesn't really have anything to lose. But before Garrett Atwell, I think he'd love to get that win, but he also knows a good point stay is also a good point stay. It's going to really boost that team's morale and get them up a little bit higher in the standings as this one's starting to trickle down.
Certainly is, and well, things really had to talk about here on LSRTV as this race has gotten very quiet, Austin. As we mentioned, that second pack is closing in now, the gap down to 3.2 seconds. They are closing in about 10th of a second a lap. So I think perhaps might be able to do this. I think once they get down to about a second, we'll see them really close in, but is it enough at this stage?
They've got to get about a little bit over a 10th per lap. They got to get about 0.15 per lap just to catch them. Now, when they do get close to them, they will actually get their draft and start to really piggyback on that. So that is something to think about as well. But hey, that changes on everything. We have a caution right now, and we'll have to see where that is. Looks like it's going to be maybe in turns 3 and 4, I think.
And that has changed everything here. Jason Altman's involved in an incident back in turns number 3 and 4, and this was actually Jason Altman's causing the incident there. Leave the replay up for you as through 3 and 4, the Traburko and the Merchant chain on the outside. 51 of Altman's just on the top lane. He loses the back end, comes down a little bit, gets tapped by Derek Walker. That sends the 51 around, the 20 around, the 00 around. 51 up into the outside wall. A couple of cars make some contact, and possibly the luckiest escape I have ever seen for that number 82 machine who was up on the high side there, Austin. He just skates through with locked brakes, and that guy should go and buy a lotto ticket. Dan Harrington there, save the race.
Yeah, lottery ticket, and maybe more than just one. He does nick the outside wall, but loads better than what could have happened, and that's just going to be a little bit of a touch-up in pit road, and you won't have to go to a garage and have to face the issue of using that fast repair, because as we know, with cautions, like to breed cautions, especially in these late race situations. So
are we going to start with Darrell Waltripisms now?
Well, we've counted down the laps together, but we're going to come down to 20, and drivers going to be so close on these restarts. We've had so few cautions here tonight, so this is only going to bring these guys closer and bring the action to a more intense level.
It certainly is, and ladies and gentlemen, this is where it gets interesting. We're going to go green with just under 20 laps to go, but the whole pack will be together. The field will be bunched up. The field is going to have to race for 20 laps to the flag. This isn't like the start of the race. These guys know the win is only 20 laps from their hands, and it's all going to be to play for. As everyone's going to come down pit road here for fresh tyres, we think at the moment, as maybe a couple of stayers out. Actually, those are lap cars, so they'll be staying out of the racetrack, but lead lap cars all heading down pit road here. And Austin, are we going to see, after having talked about how green this race has been, one caution so far, lap number 7, a huge run of about, I believe, 73 laps we had in this race, green flag, 2 green flag pit stops. That all goes out the window now, right? We're going to see cautions every 4 laps.
I don't think so. I think these guys are really going to be having a swivel on their head and know what everything's going on. But I think this really stinks for the second pack. I think they truly had the winning strategy to get, or not the winning strategy, but a strategy to get up there towards the front. But I think something that we've covered before is just how close these guys can really be at catching those groups, and those second packs can. I think they have the advantage to know how much they need to push. That first group just kind of has to say, well, we'll just go as hard as we think we need to go. I've seen a good amount of wave arounds here as well. Looks like Kelly Dahl, he'll get his wave around here, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, looks like Jorgensen Jr. is going to actually be our leader after this. I don't think he took any special pit road, anything special on pit road, but look at who's behind him. Brandon Cherburko, he's already there. 2 winners are actually first and second. That's a pretty interesting statistic at this point.
That certainly will make this one very exciting now, as we'll get this field sorted out and filtered through for the restart in just a few laps' time. We're going to take a very short commercial break. We'll be back for the green flag.
It was interesting this morning to come out here and get on the track and look closely at how rubber was starting to kind of take to the track, you know, where there were ruts and spots that looked still like dirt, and other spots were super shiny and had a bluish tint.
We scanned this track twice because we needed to be able to measure the differences between the track before it's raced and after it's raced. With dirt track racing, the dynamics of the track change dramatically once it's raced on throughout the race. And by scanning it beforehand, we were able to gain a baseline that we're now able to compare with the scan from after the race. Take a look at the cushion, see where it's built up, see how deep it is, and try to figure out some of these variables that we'll have to account for when we create our digital representations of dirt racing and dirt tracks. Our associate producer, Kevin Einarelli, was actually quite the soldier, and he stayed here all night scanning so that we could get this second scan, because in the morning after the race, they ripped the track up. So the window that we have to collect that data is very limited. So thanks, Kevin. So we had a similar approach with the photography of this track that we had with the laser scan. We photographed it twice. So we were able to get in here right before the race started, right after all the trucks had finished running the track in, and take reference photography of the track. And then we returned today and took another set of reference photography, and we took photos of all the various elements that we need to account for: the cushion, the groove, the areas of the groove that have received rubber, and the apron. And we have a specific technique that we use to take these shots. We are using something called photogrammetry. What photogrammetry is essentially the science or a method which will allow us to take photographs and extract three-dimensionality from them using common elements between the photographs. And it's a great technique to create textures for our racing sim, and it's something we've been doing for a while, but it's especially helpful with dirt because of the three-dimensional characteristics of the dirt and the way it collects. So it's a really good technique, and it should result in a great looking racetrack.
A lot of what I'm seeing kind of confirms what we already believed and already knew and have already started working on. So, you know, my plan is to get together with Dave Kamer and get in detail about what's going on between the tire and the road, because the ruts seem to be a significant piece of the puzzle.
We're 18 laps to go here on LSRTV for the Superspeedway Cup, powered by Joel Real Timing. It's 18 to go, and Mark Jorgensen Jr., Brandon Chaburko. That's our front row for this restart, and it is going to get crazy here. Behind them, Corey Henry, Garrett Atwell, and this is going to be a big restart. Green flag will fly. We're racing back again at Daytona, and it's a huge push by the 4 of Garrett Atwell on Brandon Chaburko. This one's on red flag. Seth the Merchant, Frank Basilio, and Chris Bassini, your top 4 rows. They made a huge break there, Austin.
And if I'm not mistaken, that 22 just flat ran into the wall right before the green flag happened. So I don't expect that outside line to go anywhere, because that car
It's damaged,
was pristine.
yes.
It was pristine just a few moments ago. I don't understand why that 22 ran into the outside wall. So he's got 4th right now, but and that car's still going. But I think these top 3 are going to clock out with Chaburko behind him.
There is heavy body damage on that car as they are pulling away already. You can see that gap opening up between the 22 and the 32. This has changed the entire strategy of this race, because we expected the 22 to be a real competitor here, and he's out of the running before the race even restarts. This is a huge shift.
Yeah, I can't really pin that one down, but he's going to be
Huge
saved by the
wreck.
caution
Yellow
right
flag
here.
will fly once again at Daytona. What was it, Aston?
I'm trying to find out myself, but I believe it's the 15 here. And the 29 of Tommy Hall is pretty junked up as well. It looks like the 18 car came up the track into the 29, and it looks like the 15 is going to go for a pretty good ride. Looks very reminiscent of Kevin Harvick at Talladega last year with his little half blowover there at Talladega.
It certainly was. He gets tipped into the outside lane. You'll see there, half up on his side, and spins around with a hard impact into the wall. That looks, yeah, you're right. It looks exactly like Kevin Harvick's incident a little bit as well. Like the ones for Kyle Larson in the Xfinity Series, and also for, I will remember his name eventually, number 3. Someone help me out.
Dylan.
Austin Dillon as well.
Yeah, with this caution, it really does bring these guys back together again. But I think this, with another caution, I think I kind of jinxed it a little bit. So pardon that. But with these 4 up front, with the 3, I should say, I think Chaburko, I don't think he'll be able to catch these guys up front. But this just makes the job a lot easier for Jorgensen, I think, at this point. We have about 15 laps to go right now. But in a few laps, we'll go green. And with 10 laps to go with Jorgensen Jr. in the lead and fresh tires on the machine, I cannot really see any of these drivers really being able to pass him. They can really try, and that top line has been really effective as the night has been on, but only really after a few laps have already been on the tires. And that E88 always very strong here. He does have that hungry number 12 looking for his win, and of course that's the Merchant first return here this season. Big story for him, and maybe he can be the ultimate surprise winner tonight, as it does look like the 22 is going to possibly come down pit road. We know that 22 likes to go rogue every once in a while, but 22 is still sticking on the track even with a damaged car.
This certainly will change things. I don't think he realizes he's got damage there, of course. There's that contact with the wall, possibly induced by what we heard under the last caution, Austin. Mark Jorgensen Jr. singing country from the cockpit of that 88.
Yeah, under the break here, we had a little bit of a glimpse of his singing potential here in the 88, and I don't think he should suggest doing it on public air, but it was a nice little gesture there during caution there. Back to the old racing though. I would say that number 28, or not number 4, I should say, of Garrett Atwell has moved up quite a bit. He appears to be our biggest mover tonight. Dan Harrington is also up quite a bit. It looks like 20 positions from the night, starting from 36 up to 16th. So a really big move from that guy. And then the guy behind him as well, Joey Piccolella, he started in the 37th position, is up to 17th, also up the same amount of positions as Harrington. So some big movers, big losers, and we've seen just about each and every one of them tonight. Talked about each and every one of them tonight. And Superspeedway, you see some comers, you see some goers, and you see some wreckers, and we've seen plenty of that tonight.
We certainly have indeed, Austin, as this has been a crazy one we've seen tonight. We'll have 29 cars on the lead lap this time by for the restart. 10 to go, as you mentioned. That's only going to have had fuel to the fire of these guys towards the sharp end. And got to keep our eyes here on Seth the Merchant. First race back for him, running in third. A car's been fast all night and has challenged Jonathan Jr. Could his first race back be locking himself into the chase?
I would not put it past him. Last chase, he was the last driver to enter the chase, and he won he got in only on points. So this season, he's able to really get back into the thick of things, and he was almost able to win last year's championship. He was actually the leader into the last lap, but got wrecked out. So that 32, I think, is looking for a little bit of redemption, and I think it's going to be definitely one thing he's going to be looking for is be 100% of the races he started, he wins, and that'd be an interesting statistic to talk to him about after the race, I'm sure.
That certainly will be interesting. We'll keep our eyes on that when we get to chat to the drivers post-race. But we've still got to get to the post-race first. And our top 10 at the moment, as it stands, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Corey Henry, Seth the Merchant, Brandon Chaburko, Frank Machilla III, Rod Flagg, Matt Quick, Gareth Atwell, Chris Persini, and Rodney Wofford. Big names. All of them capable of winning, Austin. Can we even pick a winner?
I think we can at least maybe pick 1, 2, or 3, and I think it's going to be the first 3. Although you cannot, I don't think you can quite throw out that 94 yet either. That 94 has been up there, and he did really well earlier on, and through pit cycles, he kind of had a little bit audible and wasn't quite able to get up there towards the top group, but was in that second group and was clinging on to every position that he could. So if the number 94 can get up there, I think maybe in the second position, look for him to at least charge, but he's got to get there first, and I think he'll follow Seth the Merchant there to the bottom of the track and maybe just keep pushing and pushing as much as he can down the back straightaway when they get there. I think that these guys on the bottom are going to have a really big advantage. Anybody on the top side, they're really going to have to go. They're going to have to go really hard, and that 22 is going to be on the outside, and we know if it's a damaged car. The 12th car, Corey Henry, he's got a pretty good chance, and he's been really good all by himself at times. But out of the 5 drivers in that 5-car team, 12th car, we haven't really talked about him a whole lot. So maybe he's the sleeper out of this group here tonight.
That is certainly something we could see as we get ready. As we're forming up now, 2 wide, lights are out on the pace car. We'll be heading back to green this time by on lap number 89. So it'll be 11 laps to the finish here at Daytona. 11 laps when a lot can happen. Cars head through turns 1 and 2 right now. And of course, let's not forget, Austin, exactly who helps power the coverage here for Superspeedway Cup. Joel Real Timing, bringing you the official timing for LSRTV. You can get that today at joel-real-timing.com. joel-real-timing.com. And it's absolutely fantastic software, Austin. I know we all use that. I mean, you can see how long your pit stop takes, competitors' pit stops. You can see, your own lap times, deltas, gaps. It's fantastic tools for drivers.
Yeah, we can also get our ticker in the correct place as well, making sure that we don't have to wait an entire lap to get it to you as well. So that's also a nice feature for it as well. So you can always see where they are, and you don't have to wait until you get to the start-finish line as well. So that's, I think, one of my more favorite features of it as well.
It certainly is. As we head through 3 and 4 now, 11 laps to go as the green flag will drop. Folks, hold on to your seats. Any snacks you need, grab that popcorn. You are going to need it. This is going to be wild as we run to the end now. What was supposed to be has been a quick race so far. 2 cautions late, and it's definitely going to shake things up. What looked like a secure run for DHI. Well, the Chicken Wing boys are out front, and the green flag will wave. Big jump by Mark Jorgensen Jr. Seth the Merchant on the bottom. Chaburko checking that top line with his damage as the 12th car, Corey Henry, really does not get going, Austin.
No, and that outside line definitely faltering to the front 3, and those front 3 have been working together all night. I think if anybody is going to be working at hightailing it and getting to the front, it's going to be those front 3. And look at the 94. I said if he's able to crack into the top 3 of this group,
oh,
he
Austin,
might be able
sorry,
to
but
do
did you
something.
see the 22 car dive for a gap only as big as his car on the low side there? That was a huge jump in behind Matt Quick ahead of Chris Persini. now it's really freed up that top side to start making a run here. This could be their time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if they can get together and they have to start working immediately, they have to start working and be back bumper to bumper as quickly as possible. But look at the 10; he's going to go down to the bottom, and that outside line is not going to really work out if you don't have enough people to work on it. That bottom line's where everyone wants to be. And I'm thinking about right now the outside line. I can almost completely throw it away. It's just not working out, and no one wants to go there.
They don't want to be there, Austin. Look at this. Everyone's diving out from behind Chaburko. Top line is forming, and Walker's blown, apparently. We've lost Derek Walker.
Yeah, that top line, I was about to say otherwise, because I did start seeing that top line work. It's not with those top 6, but it was the second group. That number 1 and 7, they are starting to form, and they're going to pick up the 4, but that might change. The caution flag is out. We'll get one more restart on the night and call it the 98, still spinning, and this is a huge wreck. Kelly Dahl involved, Andy Kessler, Brandon Montevice, and
Joey Piccolella is upside down and flying there as we had a 3-wide situation ahead of these guys. We're going to replay for you now. This was actually started up here, I believe, with, it was around the 2 car. It was indeed. It was with the 83, the 28, and the 49 cars. The 83 just, well, no, it's not actually the 83. The 49 car comes down, tags the 83, puts himself in the outside wall. It all goes a little bit pear-shaped from there.
Yeah, that 54 Brendan Montevice had nowhere to go, had no clue it was probably happening either, and he takes probably the bigger tumble. It was a quite spectacular tumble by a lot of these drivers, but I think the 54 gets the cake if we're going to be judges here on it, but 41 takes a pretty good tumble as well. Of course, with that, if they can get to the pit stall under their own power, they can get a new car, but I'm sure that these guys have blown any chance that they can get down the pit road and get a new car for the fact that they have no car to bring it down there to. I think some of these drivers are going to be able to do it, but not all of them. Just a little 3-wide action that went wrong, but I do believe we're going to have at least another shot at a restart here tonight.
I think you are quite correct. As this one stands, it's definitely shaking things up. We will have one restart before the end of this race. That's definitely going to be a very exciting moment for this one. So stay tuned, folks. This is going to be absolutely crazy. We're going to stay with you now, of course, live to the end. No breaking your coverage, but absolutely nail-biting. This will come down to the wire. Jorgensen Jr., Seth the Merchant will be your front row for this restart. That could be huge, Austin.
Yeah, look at Matt Quick right behind them. We haven't talked about Matt Quick all night. He somehow finds himself in 4th in that car is just, I don't think we even mentioned it. Out of all the race cars that we've talked about tonight, Matt Quick in the 89, I don't think has really been mentioned at all, but obviously going to be a player here in the last few laps. I would say that the 3 in front of him have been the ones that have been quite aggressive and quite strong tonight. I would say Basilia is one of the stronger ones once he gets out front. But I don't think either of these guys are in front of him, knowing their experience here in this series, are really going to bend over and give the position to these guys. Of course, it's a win, and for the 32, it would be an opening to a championship hunt later on in the season. So that 32's got a lot on the line. He's missed out on a lot of points through these first few races, so he's got to win a race. I think he knows that, and of course, anybody really wants to win a race, especially with how hard and how prestigious it is to win any of these races.
It certainly looks that way indeed, and well, this one's definitely going to be a very busy one for these guys as we get ready to go back to green flag racing very, very soon. We'll have a couple more laps. Behind that iRacing pace car, a beautiful Ford Mustang, of course, returning to service on the track for oval racing. And well, it's something, this is one of these situations, of course. We get a caution, 20 to go. We're bound to get a second one here, Austin. And you get a second one, and we, of course, don't like to quote. I've completely forgotten now. Darrell Waltrip. I'm being thankfully reminded by my producer. My brain doesn't function sometimes, folks, so just give me a moment. But Darrell Waltrip's famous quote of "cautions breed cautions," which we all managed to rip off repeatedly, but it is true. And you pack a bunch of cars up that had split out, And you have it happen. Of course, I recall myself running the Daytona 500 last year. We had one caution on lap 3, and from that point onwards, once we got to a green flag stop, but the field was spread out into 2s, 3s, and 4s, you just didn't see cautions happen because there weren't enough cars together. So everything was fairly sedate, and it went green to the end, of course. So you get a caution, it bunches everyone up, and this is more likely to happen.
Yeah, and I will say the drivers up front, even though they've had these issues or the cautions start to plague their bid at a win, the guys up front are the ones that are having the issues. It's the guys in the back who you would think of it would have been spread out by then, but they, like you said, they were 3 wide at one point, and they just ran out of room 100%. But for these guys up front, they're really kind of saying to these guys behind them, please keep your car in line. We're trying to run for a win, and we want that win so that we can either get a championship berth or keep one away from some of these guys. And that's going to be the 88 wanting to keep it away from these guys, of course. And I do think we're going to get the double file this time by, as it looks like the 32 is starting to edge up on the outside of the 88. There it goes. The lights on the top of the iRacing pace car are off, and we're going to get at least one. I think this is the last chance that we're going to be getting at a restart tonight.
This certainly will be the last opportunity for these guys to do just this. As they're out of the pace car, front row will be Jorgensen Jr. and DeMerchant. Bacillia the third, Matt Quick on row number 2, Corey Henry, Rod Flag, Garrett Atwell, Chris Bassini, Wofford, and Chaburko, row number 5. This one is going to be hot, folks. Lap 94 now. We will get a restart if we have a wreck on the first lap of this restart. Anything after 2 laps, we will end this race under caution. So this is the race to stay at the front for as long as you can, and there's 2 drivers up there who could make this very exciting, and one of them, this is his first race back and he has the potential to lock himself in. This is huge for DeMerchant. And Jorgensen Jr. has been absolutely on fire, probably for the better half of last season and the beginning of this season. He's just been relentless. We've seen him, I think, lead a lap in the last 7 races, if I'm not mistaken, including this season and last season. So this driver, he's on top of his game, probably in his prime, and you're talking to a guy, talking about a guy in that number 32 machine who's been extremely well at these tracks too. 2 veterans going at it. I think a battle brewing for these guys is one that I'm excited to watch. Certainly is, and now we watch that pace car make the long left-hand turn to pit road. Field under the command of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Green flag flies. We're racing at Daytona for hopefully the last time on this restart. And it's a big start for the inside line. Bacillia the third, the 12 of Corey Henry making a move. The 4 as well of Gareth Atwell pushing. The outside lane not got him moving yet. The potential for a momentum build is definitely there, Austin. As behind the 32 of DeMerchant, the 89 car of Matt Quick, the 10 of Rod Flag, and the 1 of Chris Bassini, they are ready to move forwards here. And they don't have Brandon Chaburko's damaged car holding them back this time.
No, they have actually a really good push from Matt Quick, who got that 32 up, and you're watching how close he is to these guys, trying to get them to really give as much as they can in terms of side draft. And you're going to see that number 20 car is going to be a lap down in front of them, but DeMerchant's going to lose the push and as well as the drive off the corner. He's not going to be with those 2 guys, so Bacillia has the room to be able to move out and try and get some help from the 32 DeMerchant, and I think that would really extinguish DeMerchant's hope and rejuvenate the number 12 of having a chance. But the 88, I think he's just waiting for that 94 to make that move. The 94, I think, is going to make it at the last moment possible. It's almost like a chess game for these guys up front, and the guys behind them, they're just trying to get everything they want, as everything's starting to smooth out with those 2 on the outside and the 4 or 5 on the inside, as we got that number 10 moving a little bit too. That's Rod Flag, trying to see everything he can get.
It certainly is, and now, folks, we're past the point of no return. We get caution now. This will end under yellow. It's very tight at the very front there as the 32 used the side draft at bumpy old Daytona. Risky move, but it could pay off as he starts to move forwards here. The 89 car of Matt Quick going to give him a push. Not formed up behind him though. It's 3 on the inside, 2 on the outside, and a gap back to the second group in this front pack. And there's the 7 of Wofford, the 4 of Gareth Atwell behind him, the 3, the 10, the 24, the 1. Anybody here can win this race, and it's all going to come down to who can get their lane working right. The inside lane, 2 more cars on the outside. 79 can't decide where he wants to go. Joel Wood needs to make a decision. As forward comes the 32. Can he do this? Can the 89 get him to the front here, Austin?
Yeah, it's going to be the 89 who's going to get him the win if he's going to be getting it at the end of this one. And the inside line of the 12 and the 7, they're working together, teammates once again, seeming to do everything they can. Look at the door slam from the 32. He's going to door slam the 94. That's going to make a huge deal for that 94. Vasily is completely out of this race now, and a huge deal for him. And the Merchant's actually going to be side by side for the lead and has a big push behind him. But look, teammates right behind Jorgensen Jr., and we've seen these guys work together before really well. And look at Jorgensen. He's going to come up the top of the track and try and block, but the 32 is going to clear the 88. Almost, not quite. There he goes.
Set the Merchant to the lead here as he gets very tight to the front. As the 88, the 12, and the 89 getting all over each other here. It was nearly a wreck as behind him is 3 wide with Rod Flag going for the pointers. Anything could end this race now on lap 98. 99 is across the line. 2 more laps to go as they go across the stripe here at Daytona. It is on, folks. Seth the Merchant leading the way. 2 cars in the outside lane. It's not looking likely that the outside line can form up in time to make this happen. But a big point though, the 94 car narrowly evading what could have been a huge wreck there, Austin. That could have been disastrous, but sitting at the 3rd with a huge save.
Yeah, huge save, but definitely pretty disappointing at that happened. He's well back there, probably in around the 20th position, I'd say. Probably not quite there, but it looks like 18th or 19th place is where he's going to fall. But all eyes are out front. We're going to get the white flag this time by, and the 88 is going to look out to the outside. There he goes. He's going to get help. And look at the doors there from the 32, and then no one's going to go to the 32's aid. 88 to the lead, and we got 1 lap to go.
They are. No, DHI teammates hooked together, the 12 and the 7, hoping to rectify the disaster they had last week at Talladega. They can't quite get it hooked up though. Jorgensen Jr. to the low side in front of the 32. This could be it. Last lap. White flag is out. And they're looking for space. As contact made, the 32 loses the car. He holds the car somehow. The 89 loses the car. He goes round. We stay green to the line. As we're racing back to that line. The 32 turns back on track. He will not win this. 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. The 12 of Corey Henry. Going to make that run. The 7 can give him the push. Will we see this happen at the line? The 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. will cross the line, winning at Daytona as we nearly cross the line. 3 wide. What a fantastic finish, Austin.
Extremely exciting, and it looks like that number 3 car of Paul Servit, he won the race for the 88, giving him one heck of a push right there at the end. And as always, that number 88 is excited as all can be.
What a finish we had here at Daytona, and it all happened out of turn number 2. Replay on your screen of what happened on that last lap, because it was a lot, folks. The contact, of course, on the backstretch, the sideways, the save, and the inevitable wreck at the 89 car, causing that loss of positions for cars. But what a run through 3 and 4. And we have to give of course, Jorgensen Jr. won this race according to 88 Austin, but as you said, Paul Servit at 3, that was a heroic push.
Well, it not only helped Jorgensen get the win, but it also helped him get a good finish by being second. I mean, we talked about how we 2 drivers really talk about when he's one of them that just kind of was in the air for most of the race and just hanging out more or less, and just happened to be in the right place, right time. After the end
celebration's
of this one,
a little bit interrupted there by a sudden out of nowhere. Here comes, I believe that was the number 11 machine of Joshua Patterson. Congratulating the number 88 of Jorgensen Jr. there, as I believe that's not his teammate, but, well, friendly competition all the same. Let's run through our post-race results here at Daytona after a wild finish. Mark Jorgensen Jr. taking home the win here at Daytona. Paul Savant coming home in 2nd place. Corey Henry, Rodney Wofford, Andrew Burgee, your 5th place finisher. Rod Flag, Gareth Atwell, Chris Bersini, Joel Wood, Josh Hanna, your top 10.
Yeah, it's finishing in 11th position, Dwayne Cooper, and Dominic DeBall, he'll go finish 12th. Frank Basilia, he's going to finish 13th after a really disappointing, great run until the very end, so that's pretty disappointing for that driver. Ray Rittenauer, he's going to finish 14th. Scott Warren, 15th. Shane McKeechin, he'll finish in that 16th position. Daniel Holloway, 17th. Seth the Merchant finished at a disappointing 18th. Ramon Evans, 19th. And Adley Kessler, he'll finish in that last 20th, or top 20 position there.
Coming home in 21st will be Dan Harrington, Roger Stewart 22nd, 23rd and last car on the lead lap, Brandon Chaburko. Scored one lap down, Matt Quick in 24th, Brandon Cruz Monsiváis, Joshua Patterson, Derek Walker, Gary Champion, Joey Picalela and Scott Saunders in 30th. Final runners, of course, Kelly Dahl, Tommy Hall, Dina Osborne, Greg Hooks, Jason Altmans, Josh Vickery and Larry Camp. Well, what a crazy finish. We're going to throw to a quick commercial break. We'll be back with you in just a moment's time with the drivers for the post-race interviews, and you are going to want to stick around for this one. This is going to be a fun chat. See you in a minute.
More than impressive, I have to say. I mean, the track is identical to the real track. I was blown away how realistic it is. Every little bump, every little spray paint, everything is exactly like you're there at the track. It was a great experience. This is a warm-up lap now. Tires to get warmed up. The engine. Breathe a little bit here when you go through that little bump there. And then it's flat pretty much all the way through here, just about. Hard braking. This is the slowest part of the track. And then I've done, I did many races in Formula 3, Formula 2. And then I did the very last race they did there in Group C in 1983 in the 956 Porsche. That's when Beloff got the lap record at the 6:11. I think I was second on the grid with the 6:14 or something. Which was, those cars were awesome around there, of course, like any car is, that speed. And this is the corner of all corners here, the Schwedenkreuz. Flat all the way into it. And then trail brake all the way into the apex here. And then hard at it again to get good speed down the hill here. Mega fast down this hill here. Just jump from one apex to the next. Gotta be super precise here. It's almost exactly like the real thing. So, it is certainly realistic enough to get past the very, a lot of the initial hurdles you have when you try to learn to drive a race car, So, I think it's an excellent tool to learn how to race for sure, or learn to drive a car on a racetrack.
Welcome back to the LSRTV post-race coverage here of the Superspeedway Cup Series, powered by Joel Real Timing. Now folks, we have the opportunity to talk to Mark Jorgensen Jr., your winner in tonight's race, and then we'll also have a chance to chat to second place finisher Corey Henry. But first, Mark Jorgensen Jr., congratulations on the win tonight, but it was so nearly not the case. Tell us what happened on that final lap.
Yeah, Rachel ended up getting a huge shove by Corey. Ended up getting me around Seth, and I knew it was going to be a battle coming to the checker. Obviously nobody wants to ride in behind somebody and just push him to an easy win, but he ended up shoving me out there, and I looked in my mirror going into one, and I don't know if he was kind of trail braking a little bit to kind of fall back to the nose of the car behind him, but I saw going into turn 3, he had a huge run, and obviously I entered the corner as low as I could, so I knew that he was going to have to make a move to the outside, and I saw his car start to move up the track, so I jumped out in front of him, kind of slowed his momentum, and then whenever I jumped up in front of him, I looked back in my mirror. I had another car, Paul Servant, I think it was. He was coming down on the inside, so I had to hurry up and turn it all the way, to the 9 o'clock position, to try to get back to the bottom to put a block on him. And once I put a block on him, I knew both of those guys' momentum were lost. And, coming out of 4, I knew that I had it.
Well, it certainly was a crazy finish, of course. On that final restart, did you think you perhaps had a threat from Seth the Merchant?
Man, at the latter goings of the race, obviously, 10 to go, 15 to go, whatever, the guys that are up there at the front are probably going to be the ones that are going to be battling it out. Obviously, anytime Seth's in the race, he's a huge threat. But, I think everybody that was within the top, 5, 6 cars on that last restart, I think either one of them had a real good shot. And, we took the green for that last restart, got through the gears pretty good. And, going down the backstretch, some guys were kind of bouncing into one another. I think that kind of separated some things up. And like I say, Corey ended up, pushing me around Seth. I cleared Seth on exit of turn 2, and I looked in my mirror again, and cars were still bouncing into each other. And I really thought Corey was going to get hooked. I really thought that, that there was going to be a huge wreck behind me. I basically could have just let off the gas and just coast on around and took the checker. But, I saw Corey, he was back there wheeling his car, saving it. And how he got back up to me, I don't know. He done a real good job.
He certainly did well. Congratulations, Mark. Anyone would like to give a shout out to?
Yeah. First and foremost, Rod for putting this on, for the gobs of money that he spends for all of us to have a good time with one another on Friday night, racing plate tracks, LSRTV for the broadcast, Austin, Rachel, Cisco, all of y'all, y'all do a heck of a job. I'm sure Evan's probably not watching. I'm sure he's probably doing something with monster trucks.
He's playing with monster trucks. He does this.
Whether it's shining the wheels or buffing the paint,
he takes pictures. He's a photographer. He takes pictures. It's easy. We do actually want to give you one final question, Mark, before we let you go. We heard some of your in-race strategy on that final, or the second to last caution. We heard you singing. Would you like to give us a quick rendition?
Oh, me and Brandy, that guy's a trip.
No, we want a verse. We want a verse.
No. Y'all got to get in the race behind the wheel to be able to hear all that. I got to sing to all of my fellow drivers out there. But, anyways, Brandy, he's a trip to be in team speak with. Makes all of us laugh, this, that, and the other. And, there's a new Keith Urban song out. Blue, I think, is the title of it. And, me and him, we just start serenading each other with our best vocals. It's great.
Well, I'm disappointed we don't get to hear that, but we'll let you go, Mark, and thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. And we're going to pass it down to Austin Coop. He's down on pit road with Corey Henry. DHI, at least finished this time. Corey? Austin, even?
Yeah, I'm right here with Paul Servant at number 3 Oreos machine, and kind of an out of nowhere deal for that number 3 car. And Paul, talk to us about how you got up there. You somehow made it through the Oh, I'm sorry. Corey, how did you make it through all that?
I apologise to my
wrong-
co-commentator because he is apparently
I was fine.
mad.
I was like,
Well, I said the wrong name.
yeah,
I meant the
he's-
same thing.
I didn't
Meant the
know
same
when
thing.
drunk.
Taco Bell turned to Oreo, but
Yeah,
some
my
Oreo
bad.
tacos, that'd be pretty good.
Wrong car meant you, Corey, but you still somehow had to make it through that mess. How did you make it through there? Because Mark was just talking about how he was surprised you were able to get up there.
Yeah, it's just your typical Daytona '07. Let's go beat and bang short track racing on a plate track. This track always provides with exciting racing towards the end of the race. You can't get any better than the finish that we had. Just the runs that you can get off the outside lane. It's crazy. The only reason why I stayed up there, I got to give big props to Rodney and the number 7. He stuck with me. We got a little bumper hook going into turn 1, I think, on the white flag lap, and that kind of set us back a little bit. Then we had some side sucking going on the back straightaway, and people getting knocked around, net code, and that sort of thing. But DHI stuck with it on the outside. Rodney kept me up there. We had a big run, but Mark's hard to beat on these plate tracks. He's been with us for a while, and he's one of the legends of Superspeedway Cup. It's going to be hard to get around him on the white flag lap, and he made us use up the track and did what he needed to do to win. So hats off to Mark. Hell of a race at the end. And luckily I come home with my 3rd podium in a row.
Now, I want to talk to you about what you guys were able to do after the set of green flag pit stops. The first of the 2, you and your teammates found yourself very together and very synced up, and it looked like you guys are trying a little bit of strategy to get each other some bonus points. So talk to us about that and how that kind of worked out for you guys. It didn't work out forever, as we had the caution and then, of course, another set of green flag pit stops where number 20 blew through and was going 20 over the speed limit. But talk to us about how that was going there for you guys.
Yeah, man, we were spanking the field. We had that pit call come down from the Bassini, and we come down, all 5 of us. I think all 6 of us started out getting together, and we ended up having 5-6 cars work together. We short pit. We got out, got the momentum. I think we had an 8-second lead probably for half of the race, and it was great. We really weren't trying to get any bonus points. It just so happened to work out that way. With the new setup, the tape on it kind of gets the car really hot very quickly. You could probably only push about 3 laps or so. So all we were doing there, we were just, once the car on the second line got hot, we started switching off and just kind of keeping each other together. We got a little slowed down when we started catching the lap cars. They kind of hindered our speed a little bit. But it was working out great till that caution come out. And then once the caution come out, of course, all hats are off. And it's back to every man for himself again. Luckily, we were able to stick up there as long as we did, though.
Yeah, and that's what we were expecting, is that once it came to the end that you guys were going to work together if you guys could, but if you guys were not together, you had to be a fight for every man for themselves. Well, you do get 3rd place here tonight. You said another podium finish to continue your streak, but I know you guys can't do it alone, so who helps you there on that 12 machine, and what other kind of sponsors or shout-outs you'd like to give out tonight?
Definitely got to give a shout-out to everybody at DHI. We got Greg, Rodney, Derek, Chris, Josh, and myself. Big shout-out to them. We were spanking the field at the beginning. Wish we could have went green flag from there on out, but obviously, like you said, we knew that wasn't going to happen. Want to give a big shout-out to all my family back home watching, all the fans on YouTube watching live at LSRTV. And, of course, everyone at LSRTV, you all put on a heck of a show every week in, week out. And Rod Flag for working the money over to let us come out and hang out and do what we love to do on Friday nights.
All right, there, Corey. Congratulations, and celebrate your 3rd. I think it's your 3rd podium finish, right?
Yep, we got 2 seconds in a row. Coming off of 4, I was actually like, well, heck, I hope I get 2nd. That'd be 3 seconds in a row. It's going to get familiar after a while. But yeah, it's my 3rd podium in a row, 2 seconds and a 3rd. Should be the points leader without a win.
We're just going to actually throw this back up to the booth and actually mention to Corey that he is in fact the points leader by 7 points over Paul Savant, Rodney Wofford in 3rd place, your teammate. So congratulations, Corey.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I didn't know that. definitely makes the night a little bit better knowing I didn't come away with the win. So we'll go out of here with the points lead and hopefully maintain that momentum for the weeks to come.
Well, thank you very much to Austin and to Corey for that one. And we are just going to have a quick chat with Rod Flag. We know he doesn't like it, but tough. Welcome to LSRTV, Rod Flag.
Hey, Rachel, how are you doing?
Absolutely fantastic. Crazy race for you guys tonight at Daytona 07. We thought it was going to be green flag to the end, but you guys, you packed a few action-packed moments in there at the end, and it was a good finish for you as well. 6th place tonight. Good points as well. As you did point out in the time, the points scoring at the moment, you are in 9th place overall. Got a chance for the chase this year?
I think we do. The top 5 drivers who don't have a win get in the chases or in the playoff. Excuse me. You have to put a penny in the jar every time we say the C word now. Moving forward with all the changes in NASCAR, but yeah, I mean we ran good again tonight. We've had 3 straight top 10 finishes. Started off a little rough in the first 2 races of the season, but we had an amazing race tonight. I mean that finish was nuts. That 6 lap to go restart, and when I saw Seth and I don't even know who the other car was start wrecking, I knew we were in there, and all it was going to take is another wreck to maybe steal a win or something. And that's just what you have to do. You have to be up there and be in contention and be in the top 5, 6, 7, 8 cars, be in that lead draft. And if something happens, you can take advantage of something there. But Mark did an excellent job tonight to secure that second win of the season. And again, congratulations to Corey Henry to be the new points leader there. I know Derek Walker is a little disappointed that he didn't continue to lead the points, but can't complain when we're ending this interview here about just after 11 Eastern, right?
We certainly are. It's definitely been a quick race tonight for the series, especially after the last couple of busy ones for pit road and the repair teams.
Yeah, can't complain. And going to what we I don't know about what other leagues consider their toughest track, but Daytona 07, it's like the Superspeedway Cup version in Darlington. We go there, it is tough racing. You're racing the track a lot of the times. It's intense. So when you win here, it's special. I know Mark was pumped up to win the race, and so hope everybody who's tuning in understands that super speedway wise, this is like our Darlington. It's the track is tough. Given what we're given.
My favorite, if I can throw that in there.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that last from Corey.
I was actually telling Mark, I'm sorry to kind of interject, but me and Mark were testing the setup to make sure everything was all a go tonight. And I told Mark, I was like, you wait and watch. Me and you probably going to be at the end of this. Did I not?
Oh, and it's amazing how that worked out. Both of us finished top 3. I mean, that was pretty cool. I guess the practice and testing and all that paid off.
Yeah, but again, this is Daytona 07, so all of us old school drivers on the iRacing service, this is our original plate track, so we know how to wheel it around here, and I'm glad we were able to put on a show. I hope all the fans enjoyed it with me and Mark up front, and of course everybody else too.
Well, I am going to have to interrupt the old guys in the middle of their bridge game, and they're reminiscing about the old times in iRacing, because we do have to close things up here at the Superspeedway Cup Series. You could keep talking, and you can when we go off air, but for now, shush. Anyway, folks, a big thanks to President Rod Flag, VP Frank Batilla III, Larry Camp, Kelly Dahl, Jason Altmans from Superspeedway Racing Club for their work behind the scenes for bringing the on-track action to us on Friday nights. For more information on LSRTV, you can find us online at livesimracing.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/livesimracingtv for the latest information on when you can find us here next on iRacing Live. I've been Rachel Wyford. I've been joined tonight by Austin Coop and in the production trailer, Cisco Scaramuza. Thanks for watching and have a great night.